guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my Portmans wardrobe. So this is a series that I've been doing on my channel over the last quite a few months actually now. I'll link some of my previous videos down below. I've done Cotton On, Dotty, Forever New, Glassons, and maybe one or two others. I've kind of lost track of how many I've done now, but today we are talking all about Portmans, which I believe is another Australian clothing brand. Once again, I don't have a huge amount of clothing from this brand. This is everything that I have from Portmans, so 5 items in total, which is not a huge amount, but I have had other clothing from them in the past, so I'll talk about kind of the quality and the pricing and all that sort of stuff that I normally mention in these videos. So I do hope you enjoy. If you haven't subscribed already, I'd love it if you did. I upload a new video every single week, and let's just get started. So starting off as always with ethics, I'm using the same website that I've used for pretty much every other video that I've done on this, and it's called theregister.co.nz. This is a report from 2017, so it's now a couple of years old. They look at 4 different concepts and they rate brands for each one. So there's company policies, how well they know their suppliers, auditing and supplier relationships, and work environment. Overall, Portmans got a C+, which is not the best but also not the worst out of the brands that I have talked about in the past. They're quite a funny brand to place, I've found, because they're not super expensive and really good quality, but they're also not super cheap and trashy. Like, they're kind of in between, and then sometimes they have things that are quite expensive but they're still not that great quality, and then sometimes you can get the cheaper things that are still amazing. So they're a very funny brand, very hit or miss in my opinion. I have done quite a lot of wardrobe clearouts over the last few years, so the pieces that I have from them are the ones that I love and that have stood the test of time, obviously. So these ones I'm very happy with, but yeah, I have had things from them in the past that have got holes really quickly, or they've kind of ripped along the seams. That makes it quite difficult to place them in terms of quality. Let's talk about pricing first though. Their pricing for the most part is higher than the other brands that I've talked about. So they are more expensive than Cotton On, Glassons. They're about the same price as Forever New, but their range is kind of a bit more workwear based. Forever New is much more like dresses and kind of, I would say, summer and holiday items, whereas Portmans does a lot of nice coats, work trousers, and work skirts that I don't really go for, so there's not a lot of that in my collection, but that is what you'll see if you walk into their store. But I would say similar pricing to Forever New, but at the same time I would trust Forever New to have a higher standard of quality across the board, whereas Portmans, like, these are amazing, but like I said, some of their items are not. Even though you're still paying the same price, the quality's just not there sometimes. So we've kind of talked about their range as well. They do accessories as well. They do like bags and shoes, but it's not what they are really based around. They're very much based around a work wardrobe and having all those kind of staples. They're only women's wear. You won't find men's wear, you won't find kids. They definitely don't do like bikinis or underwear, nothing like that, not even loungewear. Like, it's just quite professional working women's wear is what I would call it. So with that being said, let's make a start on the items that I have from Portmans, and I'll talk you through the prices. I don't remember the exact prices and I don't have the receipts anymore, but I know approximately how much each of these items cost, so I will talk you through that as we go. You know what? I've just remembered I have a 6th item from Portmans, which I will go and get now. Okay, so I have 6 items from Portmans. This one I've just pulled out of the wash, which unfortunately it hasn't been through the wash yet, so it's a little bit smelly, and that's going to be fun to put on in a moment, but that's okay. I only have to wear it for a minute or so. I want to put your mind at ease a little bit if you do shop at Portmans, because I kind of made them sound a little bit ratty just now. I think the more basic the piece you are buying, the better the quality is. I think sometimes they try to do more trend-led pieces, and because trends are only around for a shorter amount of time, I think they try and push them out faster, and then those other items that end up being not so great quality. What I've noticed with the pieces that I do still have from them is they're all very basic. It's a very neutral color palette. It's things that aren't really going to go out of style, and these are the things that I've found to be really good quality and that have lasted me really well. So I think it's just that they've had more time to work on these, and check the design and check the quality. So I would say if you do want to shop at Portmans, your best bet is to go for the more basic pieces, the neutral colours, the styles that are always around, and just kind of avoid the more trendy pieces. I had a short sleeve knit from them in the past which looked amazing and I wore it all the time. It had like a really subtle detailing on the front and it was quite a fine knit, but that was the one that started to get a hole in it. It was just under the armpit where the seam connected and it just started to come apart there at the seam, and I did get rid of it quite quickly after that happened because I knew the more I wore it, it was just going to get bigger. So that was really disappointing because I did really look after that because I really liked it, but I've not had any problems like that with any of these pieces here. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a very cute black mini dress. It's got a V-neck at the front. The material is not stretchy at all, but it has a tie around the waist so you can cinch it in, and then it's just nice and flowy underneath it. So it's kind of like an A-line skater skirt almost. Frilly little sleeves, and then it has a nice zip up the back. It's also fully lined underneath, so the whole thing is 2 layers. And then it has these cute little white flowers as a pattern on it. This is very well made. It feels nice and durable. I've had this for, I was going to say I've had this for 6 months, but no, I've had this since my last job, which I quit before last year. So I've definitely had this for well over a year now. I wear it mostly in the summer because it is definitely more of a spring and summer piece. I can wear it into autumn as well because it does have those 2 layers. I've gotten a lot of use out of this and it's still going really strong. There's no threads hanging off it. Even when I got it, there was nothing, like no threads that I needed to cut off or anything. That's one of the things that you find with cheaper stores like Cotton On. Even if the piece is durable, it will be unfinished, so you might just have to cut a few threads off and then it will look a bit nicer. But no, this one is definitely going really well. It's definitely a favorite of mine. Oh, pricing. I believe this one was around $100, so fairly expensive in terms of what I normally pay for a dress, but then again it's lasted me a while and I've worn it all the time and it's going to last me a lot longer still. Then we have another dress. This one is more of a midi length, although it's an asymmetric hemline, so it's not all the same length. This is another one that is fully lined, so it's got a whole another layer that goes underneath. Again, this one has a zip up the back and then it also has a button to do up, and it's got this little split between the zip and the button, but it's not low enough that it shows your bra strap, so my bra strap goes underneath where the zip starts, so it's still nice and modest, and it's got a nice modest neckline as well. I love the pattern on this. So it is a cream dress. It's a nice chiffon material on the top, and then the pattern is again flowers, but it's like muted greens and pinks, and it also has this kind of cutout detail into the waist, which is a really nice flattering shape because it kind of points inwards where your waist is, so it makes you look a little bit slimmer. Because this one doesn't have a tie around the waist, but it does on its own, the pattern brings it in. It also has this pleated detail down the front. The top half is more fitted, although it's not totally tight, and then from the waist it again just kind of flows and hangs, so it's not tight at all. Really comfortable. This has actually become my special occasion dress. I think just because of the material, it is such a nice dressy material. I wore this to a friend's wedding at the end of last year, and I've got my own graduation in just a few weeks now actually, and I'm thinking I'm going to wear this to my graduation as well. Another really well made piece. It's very feminine and beautiful, and I bought this one at the exact same time as the first dress that I showed you, so again I've had this one for well over a year. It's another one that I wear spring, summer, autumn. I get a lot of use out of this. I'm not the sort of person that will save clothing for just special occasions. Even though this is what I pull out for special occasions, I'm still perfectly happy to wear it on just any old day. I wore this last weekend and there was no occasion. I just wore it around the house. Next up is the item I almost forgot about. So this, it's not too smelly, but I wore this to work the other day and I think I spilled something on it, so it does need to go through the wash, but I can do that after this video. This is a very light pink jumper with black trimming around the neck and around the end of the sleeve. I have actually rolled the sleeves up because the sleeves are a little bit too long for me, but I think it looks still quite cute with the sleeves rolled up just a little bit. This jumper is not super tight, but it is a little bit fitted, so it's not meant to be super baggy. It's a very fine knit. I'm wearing this so much at the moment for this time of year. It's kind of that in-betweeny weather where it's still quite warm, but then the mornings are quite cold, the evenings are quite cold. So this is the perfect thing to wear because it is fine knit and it's not too bulky, but it's still going to keep me warm when it's just a little bit chilly. I forgot to tell you how much the second dress cost. So this dress was more expensive than the first one. I think it was over 100. I think it was probably 130, something like that. This jumper, I believe, was about $60. For my budget and what I tend to pay for jumpers, it's not that much, but because it's a fine knit, I wouldn't want to pay too much more than that. Unless, of course, it was like a cashmere jumper or like a special material, but this is just a regular. Actually, let me check what material this is. This is viscose and nylon, so it's really nothing special in terms of material. So yeah, $60 is about all I would pay for this. I think this is actually my newest purchase from Portmans, so I probably had this less than a year. I would say I bought it nearer the start of last year, so almost a year. Once again though, it feels really well made, and because it's another one of those basic pieces, I know that it's going to last me a long time. And I mean, I've washed this lots of times and it's holding up really well. If you've been around on my channel for a while, you've probably seen me wear this in tons of videos. Moving right along, actually I'll show you the next two together because they're actually the same item. So I picked up two of these really basic t-shirts. So I've got one in grey and one in black. I like these because the neckline, it's not like super high, it's not like a high neck shirt, but it is high enough that you're totally covered. Like I can wear these to work and I feel nice and modest. The material is what really got me. This is some of the softest t-shirt material that I've ever felt. If you have been watching my channel for a while, you might have noticed that I'm actually very picky when it comes to materials. T-shirts and jumpers in particular, I like them to be soft. If it feels like it's going to be even a little bit scratchy, I don't even want to go there. And then t-shirts, I find a lot of the time they feel really stiff and I don't like that material. So I like them to be really like soft and nice and flowy. Actually, I have one t-shirt at the moment from a different brand, but it doesn't feel soft. But for all my others, I've been really picky. They're very basic. I don't need to talk about these a lot. But yeah, they really just go with everything. And then in winter, I like to wear these underneath my jumpers so that I don't have to wash my jumpers as often. The only problem that I've encountered, and this is nothing to do with, you know, the brand or the t-shirts, it's just something that I've noticed within myself, is that if you have a t-shirt with a higher neckline, then you can't wear it under jumpers with a lower neckline. For example, if you've got a v-neck jumper, I wouldn't wear one of these underneath it because then the t-shirt would show, and I just don't like that look. But what I've been trying to do, and I'm definitely going to try to do more going forwards, is I prefer to have higher necked jumpers anyway because they keep me warmer, especially in winter. So when this winter comes around, I really am going to be looking for high neck, roll neck, you know, those kinds of jumpers so that I can continue to wear things like this underneath and then also get the extra warmth from the higher neck. I think these might have been on sale. I think they were $30 each. But I think it was 2 for $40, so I'm pretty sure I got these for about $20 each. But once again, I've definitely had these for over a year, so it's quite hard to remember. But I would say I probably wear these at least once a week each. So they've had a lot of wears, I mean at least 52 wears each, and they're still going really strong. They feel absolutely great. The material is actually a little bit thicker than what you'd normally get for a basic t-shirt, so I think that just makes them a little bit more durable. It makes them really good for the colder months. You can also style them up. I did a video where I wore the black t-shirt but then I tied it in a knot and I wore it with black culottes, and that looks really stylish. So they don't have to be just a piece to wear for work. There's lots of different ways to make just a really basic t-shirt look good. And the very last piece that I have from Portmans is probably my most worn. This is my coat. Now, I follow a lot of people on YouTube, especially like style and fashion YouTubers, because that's the type of video that I love to watch and I love to make. But I follow a lot of people that have huge coat collections. Like they'll do a video on their coat collection and they have like 15, 20 coats. I have one coat and then I have a jacket as well that's from Forever New that is fur lined, and that's what I wear when it's like really super cold. But in terms of actual coats, I just have the one. I'd really like to get a second one. I'm thinking of getting another one in a different colour for the coming winter. But currently I have one coat and this is it. I've had this for 2 winters now. The only thing that's wrong with it currently is that it has cat hair all over it, and I just need to get a lint roller and deal with that. It's in really great condition considering I've had it for 2 years. I haven't worn this recently because we've only just finished summer here, but it's definitely one that's coming back out as soon as it starts to get a little bit colder. Sorry, I'm just picking bits off it while I'm sitting here. I'm sure I've shown this in lots of videos in the past as well. So it's got these really big lapels, which I think looks really nice. My arm is so sore from holding these up for so long. It's fully lined on the inside. Let's look at the materials. The lining is polyester and viscose, again, not amazing. And then the outside of it is polyester, viscose and elastane. So it's not made of the best materials, but this is kind of the best you could get for the price that I paid, I would say. I think this was about $180. To move into the wool and those kinds of materials for a coat, you really are pushing $300. So for $180, what I've got is actually very good for the price that I paid. It's got these nice buttons. They're like popper buttons down the front. It also has a tie, which for last winter I decided I was going to tie it at the back and not do it up at all. But the first winter that I had this, I did all the buttons up and I tied the tie. That's just a matter of the trends that were going around at the time. Last winter I was very conscious of everyone wears their coats open with the tie at the back, so I'm going to do the same thing. But I think this winter I'm not so worried about what everyone else is doing, and I'm probably just going to do it up and have the extra warmth again. I really like the shape and the length of this coat. So especially when you do tie the tie, it's got almost like a A-line shape to it again. I find that very flattering on my figure. It comes down to just above my knees, which I just find this very flattering on me, and then it's also long enough to keep me nice and warm on those colder days. It's got nice big pockets on each side. It's just an all-around great coat. Like I said, I've had this for 2 years. Really well made. It's absolutely fine. It's going to do me at least another 2 years, probably more. The only reason I'd get rid of it at this point is if I decided I didn't like the style, because the quality of it is absolutely great. Just before I pop this back, I want to quickly talk about sizing. Normally I'm between a size 6 and an 8, kind of verging more on an 8 at the moment. I just had a quick look, so my dresses are both size 8 and then the tops are all extra smalls, which is what I would normally get. But for the coat, for a lot of brands, I find that you need to size up in a coat if you want to be able to fit a chunky jumper or something like that underneath it. But my coat actually says size 8. Normally I would go for a 10 just to make sure that I can fit all of those layers that I want to wear in winter. But this is a size 8 and I know for a fact that I can easily fit any jumper I own underneath this coat. Actually, I'll show you now because this is probably the chunkiest jumper that I own, so I'll put this over top. There we go. Easy. And then normally the problem I have is I can't move my shoulders if I put too many layers under a coat. But yeah, no, this is no worries at all. So I just wanted to show you, I think Portmans has already taken into account the fact that you want to be able to fit jumpers underneath your coat, so they have sized it up for you. So I would say don't size up if you're buying a coat. I mean, try it on if you have, like if you're in store, obviously just take a jumper with you and try it on. But if you are buying online, I would say they've already done the sizing up for you, so just buy your normal size. I used to have coats from Forever New. I mean, I still have my jacket from there. Their shoulders are always too tight for me. Like even if I size up, it'll be like too big around the waist and then too small on the shoulders. It's really annoying. But yeah, this coat from Portmans I love it. It's great. And that is going to bring us to the end of today's video. I hope you did enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. If you do have any other requests for clothing brands that you'd like me to review or do this kind of a video on, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you again in my next video. Bye!